live now, I think.
Hi guys, it's Chris and Susan here, and we are in Spain, and they do say the rain falls mainly on the plain in Spain, but not today. Today it falls on Duquesa where we are. We came out for some sunshine. It would have been lovely to say we're shooting you this live from sunny Spain, but we can't. But the content, we hope, is still going to be as valuable. We're sitting out here on our terrace just outside our main apartment, and the view you can see to the side of us is what we look at every single day when we get up in the morning when we're
That
here.
over there.
And we just look at the sea, which is absolutely fantastic. Even though we have a ground floor apartment, we are so high up in the resort itself that we actually have those fabulous views. And in fact, some of our guests always say to us, I don't see how you can have a sea view when you've got an apartment that's on the ground floor, but trust us, you absolutely can. So today we wanted to share with you some of our thoughts from our time at Expert Empires last week, where we got to meet the one and only Gary Vaynerchuk, and of course Ryan Dice, who has been a huge hero of ours for very many years since we came online, because his training is exceptional as well. But some of the things we've learned from those few days, and things that we have learnt from books that we're reading right now, are things that we want to share with you that we believe will help you in your business. So thanks for joining us live. We will answer all of the comments afterwards. It's a little bit difficult to do that when you're trying to make sure that the Wi-Fi is running.
The Wi-Fi, we're right on the extremes of our Wi-Fi here, because the Wi-Fi box is down there in the lounge, and we're sitting on sort of the outer edge of our terrace. So the Wi-Fi is a little bit flaky, so if we lose you, just shout.
And if it pours with rain, we will also move very quickly.
Yeah, I'm looking at you on my phone so I can see what's happening, but no, I think tomorrow we've decided we're going to go and get a Wi-Fi booster so that we can actually sit out here, because as Susan says, although it's cloudy and a bit raining today, we've been promised sunshine from tomorrow evening onwards for the whole week coming up, so we're really looking forward to that. So.
And we've been getting ourselves set up here for our trainings and our mentoring, because that's something we're able to do now from our apartment. So it means we can take our day in the office with us worldwide pretty much, and that's what we've always wanted to achieve. And I guess it's the next level for us in our business. But we were once told when we first came online is, how do you show somebody that you can really teach them and train them and mentor them? And one of those things that we got told was, whatever you learn, teach it to somebody else, because you're always going to be just one step ahead of them, and the knowledge that you share is going to help them in some way, shape or form in their business. And actually that's pretty much what Gary said to us, wasn't it, at Expert Empires?
Yeah, I mean, basically what we have this thing, learn, do and teach. And so if you learn something, you then go and do it, implement it in some shape or form. And then once you've done that, you need to go and teach it to other people, because what happens is it gets more ingrained, and the more ingrained it gets, the more natural it becomes, and the more natural it becomes, you don't actually have to think about what you're teaching, because it's just inside you and it comes out. And when people ask you questions, and that's one of the things that I have to say a lot of people get hung up on when they become entrepreneurs, particularly if they become online entrepreneurs. They're always worried about the question that they can't answer. And you have to be really honest with not only yourself but whoever asks you the question, and just say, well, I don't know the answer to that, I've never been asked that before, let me find out for you, because you can always find out. But having a business is all about integrity, telling the truth, and being trustworthy. And funnily enough, we were talking to one of our partners earlier on today, and he's a really highly successful guy. Really highly successful guy in terms of entrepreneurship. He was a professional goalkeeper. I'm not going to say a few years ago because it was a little bit more than a few years ago.
And he wouldn't want us to share his age either.
But the thing is he realised that he couldn't be a professional footballer for all of his life. In fact, most professional sports people have quite a short career span, if you like. Potentially, you know, I think for goalkeepers it goes on a little bit longer because you're not running around quite so much. Although it's still a very hard, very. I can't think of the word now, but anyway, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's you're still part of that team, very important part of the team. But you know, if you're on the field, your lifespan, if you like. What did he call it? He called it something else.
I guess
his shelf life. He called it.
I think that's brilliant.
He said a sportsman's shelf life. It can be very varied because you might be lucky and go the whole way through until you get to a certain age where you just don't have the fitness anymore. But he said it could be cut short by injury. It can be cut short by something else. And many things that can cut short your professional career, and therefore you have to look at what you're doing in the future before you get there, if you see what I mean. And that's really important because it's one of the things that, coming back to where you were, you're talking about Gary, one of the things that we were absolutely determined to do two things at the weekend. One was get a picture with him, and the second one was to ask him a question and get it on video. So how could we do that? Well, we knew that he was going on stage late afternoon, and we also knew that before that, because we went and asked the organisers, that he was doing a 1 hour round table with a very few people that they paid a lot of money to sit there and ask him a question. And so he was doing that. So we worked out that he was going to be there he's going to arrive sometime between about 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So we had, a team of us got together.
Yeah, teamwork.
We all wanted a picture with Gary. And so we all got together and we said, right, okay, let me just make sure this is still working. We're still working, that's good. So we sat down. So we worked out that if we hung out just outside the room where the event was going on, there was a congregation area and where the exhibitors were as well, that we could cover two entrances to the hotel, and we had a good chance of getting the pictures. The other thing we did was we actually watched the organiser of the hotel, the key, where they were going, because we knew that they would want to go and meet Gary as soon as he arrived. So we were watching them. There's 4 of us, so we're all looking, and we covered the entrances, and then one of us went out to that entrance. Roy went out to that entrance, and all of a sudden he came running in the other entrance. He said, "I've just got the picture. He's just arrived. He's just getting out of a taxi outside, quick." So of course we went outside. And there was Gary standing there, and we said, "What did you say to him?" I can't remember.
No, Chris actually, he almost went to hug him. He just put his arm around him and he said, "Hi Gary, we're your 60+ entrepreneurs, and we've just been so excited to meet you. Can we have a photograph?" And he is the most generous person that you can ever imagine. I mean, he's been on a long flight, he's been in a taxi, but you know what Gary's like, he's all about hustle. And our hassle, if you like, was our hustle, and he was very impressed with that. So he said, "Yeah, of course." So we got to have those shots, and that for us just cemented how important it is to be so persevering in what it is that you want to do. But we still have one more thing that we wanted to do, and that was to get a video on video with him and ask him a very important question again, about 60+ entrepreneurs and the market, the niche market that we work in. So we were just thinking, how can we possibly do that? Because there's no way we're going to get in front of him on his own. and
I
have
think it's going to start to rain.
and have that video. So let's fingers crossed it's not going to rain, because we want to finish this live with you. And sorry about the dog barking. It's like, this is a residential area, and you know, families live here. So, but no, we managed to do that. But the most exciting thing, I guess, after that was when we got a hit up just a few days ago to say, did you know you're on the Gary Vee show? We said, what? We're on Gary Vee show. And, you know, he is an awesome entrepreneur. He is someone who is passionate about entrepreneurship, and he showcases all of the things that are going to help people. So right at the beginning of his show, he takes people on a journey through various questions that people have asked. He takes you into his office, and about halfway through, lo and behold, there's us with Gary, Chris with his arms round him, from the back view, and with all the videographers there, because we didn't know they were there even.
He brings his own videographer with him, D-Rock.
D-Rock, and it was fantastic to see, because he actually hear us saying we're the 60 plus entrepreneurs. But to go back to persistence and how are we going to get this video, well, we managed to get the video because when he was on stage at the actual event, he spent about 20 minutes teaching and training and giving us some really great information. And then he said, you know, the best thing I can do is open Q&A to everybody. It's about 700-800 people there, and get you guys to ask me questions and I'll answer them, because it will help pretty much everybody. So through a lot of persistence and never giving up, I managed to get hold of the microphone. And if any of you know me, when I get hold of a microphone, there is no way I'm letting go of it until I've asked the question. And finally he came to the edge of the stage and he said, right, okay, what's your question? And I asked him straight up, you know, we're 60 plus, you know, we work in that niche. We're trying to reach people in and approaching retirement, who don't realise what's coming up for them, because, you know, they've worked all their lives pretty much. If they've been professionals and if they've been self-employed like we were, then they don't have the kind of retirement fund to give them the retirement lifestyle that, quite frankly, they've worked for all their life. Now, his answer was, and I will not repeat the F word because I very rarely use it, is that he said he had actually recorded a video telling 60 plus people to
get off their arses.
Yes, get off their arses is the best way I could describe it. But then he went on to talk about how we could, because I'd actually said, you know, what we're finding is, yes, we're reaching that market. They're liking our posts, they're liking our Facebook updates, they're liking our materials, they're subscribing, but they're not taking the action. And, you know, his answer was so good and so sensible, and we should have thought about it. He just said, find different ways to approach your market.
Yeah, he said basically you need to talk to them. He said something like, share your content with different colours, different edits, different angles. He used all sorts of words which, when you think about it, were quite amazing. And he said, realistically, all you've got to do is keep repeating your message with different sprinkles on.
Over and over and over again.
Over and over and over again. And the reason he said that, and it's quite amazing when he said that, and then we think about, you know, the things that have happened on our journey over the last 6 years, the people we've met and the things we've said, and people who have come and decided to come and work with us. It's very, very true, because, you know, your message always has to stay the same, but two things we know about people. One is that they will only take action when they're ready to take action. So they'll only invest in a product, or they'll come and talk to you, or whatever the action is you want. They'll only do it when they're ready. So in other words, they're going through their journey and they get to a point when either something happens, and this is very true, there's a trigger point. Something happens that makes people say, right, I've got to do it, and I've got to do it now. And, you know, a good example, just to try and illustrate the point, a good example might be when somebody gets made redundant. You know, if, as Susan said, our market is 50 plus people who have some sort of professional background or skilled background, and are, you know, approaching retirement. As we say, retirement's on the horizon. Something has to happen for them to decide, yeah, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it now. And as I said, redundancy is a good one, particularly if you're, you know, mid to late 40s, early 50s, or even early 60s, and you get made redundant. You know in your heart of hearts that there's a pretty slim chance of you actually getting a job similar to the one you had at a similar salary within the near future. So maybe that would be a trigger point for you to start looking at something else, or maybe you've been looking for a while. That's the trigger point to actually take action and get moving. So that's the first thing, is that people need a trigger point, something that happens that makes them do something. And the second thing is that unless people relate to what you're saying, they engage with what you're saying, then they won't take action either. And what I mean by that is, you know, we share our story, we teach storytelling, we tell people that it's really important to share their story, because people buy from those they know, like and trust. People relate to those they know, like and trust. And they can only do that, particularly in an online business. You know, if you're offline and you meet somebody, you shake their hand, meet them at a party or a business event or whatever, you can make that assessment relatively quickly. But in an online environment, it's very difficult to do that, because most of the time we don't physically meet people. But one of the key things that you can do to build that is a video, just like we're doing. This is live video, so, you know, if we make a mistake, we make a mistake, but we don't worry about it.
But it is another sprinkle.
Yeah, it's just another way of getting the message out. And, you know, I've lost my train of thought now, that's age, but never mind. So, no, telling your story. So you have to have lots of things in your story that are all true, obviously. Integrity and trust is really key, but they're all true. But the thing is they help people relate to you. So, you know, other than telling our background about that we were accountants and consultants and we had property and we lost a lot of it when in the worldwide crash, and so our pension pot went out the window. We also talk about, you know, we love skiing, we've got a passion for being in the mountains, we love cats, you know, we love travelling. All these things, okay, all these things are hooks. And, you know, I don't mean that to sound sort of callous, if you see what I mean, but basically, if somebody reads our story and they like cats or they like skiing or they love travelling or whatever, then instantly you build an unconscious rapport with somebody. And that's why it's so important to tell your story, warts and all, as we say.
Yeah.
Because people will go, oh, that's me. Maybe I should talk to these people, or maybe I should look at what they're doing. And so that your story and the trigger in somebody's life will cause people to look at whatever it is you're doing and potentially buy from you. And, you know, that period can be anything from hours, weeks, months, and even years. You know, we've had people join us who have followed us for 3 years or 4 years before that trigger point happened, or we said something that they went, yeah, I got to do that, and I got to do it now. So that's the key message.
It is, and you know, if you have got, I'm going to talk about books. We were talking about books to read. Now, if you have not got your copy of Expert Secrets, you really and truly should. And in fact, I was talking to the guy we were chatting with on Skype this afternoon, and said, you know, really because of what he's doing in the marketplace, this is more important than ever to actually read through Russell's book and get into your head why it's so important to stand out as the expert in your space. So, you know, Chris and I really and truly want to share our expertise in the space of 50 plus professionals who are looking to find a way to have a better retirement, to put more money in their pension pot, and to have a kind of lifestyle that perhaps they are not able to because of circumstances changing something in their lives. Now, Chris talked about storytelling, and again, out of the book, there's a whole section there where Russell talks about creating what he calls your attractive character. Now, we've learned a lot about that through our time in speaking, and we've done our speaker training, and having that attractive character is really important. So I want you to get hold of that book if you haven't got it, and I'll give you a link a bit later on, and get your copy. The book is free, and I have to say, even though it's free, do not dismiss the value of what he shares in that. If you've ever bought his books before, like .com Secrets, which to us is our Bible of our online business training, then this is the next stage of that. And he does refer to some of the other things in .com Secrets as well, because it's so important. But when you know your attractive character, getting into telling your story becomes so much more important. And I'll admit, when we first came online, you know, nearly 7 years ago now, we didn't have what we would call an attractive character. You know, we thought we were quite attractive. You know, we were a bit younger then, but
yeah,
joking apart.
But the problem was we didn't know who we were talking to either.
So we talked to everybody. And our mentor actually took us aside one day and he said, what do you think makes you guys stand out from everyone else who's promoting that program? It was another high ticket program, education program, because that is what we love, is education. And we said, I guess it's our business experience, because we've been in business for 20 odd years. We've helped other small businesses to grow and develop, and we know that sort of stuff like the back of our hand. So he said, yeah, that is what you need to do at that point in time. He said, show people through your knowledge of business that you can help them become an entrepreneur, set up an online digital business, etc., etc. But, you know, that's developed over the years now until we've come to find ourselves in the space that we really and truly love and we're passionate about, and we could talk about until, as the expression is, the cows come home. But it's taken us time to get there. And you cannot be everything to every single person out there just because you have an online business. And we teach this such a lot because we believe how important it is. It's why we went to Expert Empires, because 600, 700, 800 people, I don't know however many people were there. They were from all walks of business life, from coaches, consultants,
speakers,
authors, internet entrepreneurs like ourselves. And they all needed to find their expertise and a way to market their expertise and stand out from everybody else and be that attractive character. So, you know, that's why we go to events that are very tailored now to where we want to be in the space, and to give us the extra knowledge that we can then take forward and teach and train ourselves, like Chris said right at the very beginning. So, you know, that's sort of pretty much it from us today. Love to know what you think. Please leave us some comments. Tell us what your thoughts are. Tell us what you're doing. Give some little words of advice if you've got it, because all of that helps somebody else and helps create a connection for you. This is not all about us creating connection for us. This is about helping you create connection in your life and in your business as well.
Can they do that by liking this as a
yeah, just like this. Share it with anybody that you feel would have value from watching this. It just helps. You know, we share other people's content that we see all the time. One of our favourite entrepreneurs, I have to say, is Tom Beale. We see Tom's posts every single day. They always start with a beautiful picture of a sunrise.
The sun's coming out now.
On the beautiful Florida beaches where he lives. Very jealous of that, but it inspires us, and because we know what a great entrepreneur he is, we love to comment on it and we love to share his posts. So, you know, make sure that you do that. We share your stuff if we see some great stuff, and we'd love you to share this as well. We'll come back to you later, probably early next week, with another live. But if you have some thoughts on what you would like us to teach and train on or speak about, then let us know in the comments, and we'll do our very best to do that. And we'll share with you the 2 books we're reading right now, which is Expert Secrets for Me, and we can't both read them at the same time, and Chris is reading Gary V's book here, which is
Ask Gary V.
Ask Gary V.
There's some great stories and
really
one-liners cool. and that
yeah.
in there. Great inspiration stuff in there.
So hope you've enjoyed today's live with sprinkles on it, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Take care. Bye.